You are watching an Olympic clay shooting highlight reel. The shooter steps into the stand, perfectly still, gun already locked into the pocket of the shoulder, eyes fixed somewhere into the middle distance. The target launches. In under a second, the gun moves, the shot fires, the clay explodes. The whole sequence looks like it happens without conscious thought. Effortless, automatic, inevitable, and you think, that is what I need to learn. That hold point, that mount, that timing. If I can just understand what they are doing and replicate it, my scores will go up. It is one of the most natural instincts in sport. Watch the best, copy the best, become better. And in many sports, it works. But in clay shooting, particularly for shooters over 50, copying Olympic technique does not just fail to help. In many cases, it actively makes you worse. Not slightly worse. Measurably, consistently worse. And most shooters never figure out why. Today we are going to unpack exactly what is happening, why elite Olympic technique and recreational over 50 technique are built on entirely different foundations, which parts of the Olympic approach you should absolutely be borrowing, and which parts you need to leave alone entirely. Welcome back to Barrel Boost, your shotgun skills headquarters. If you are new here, subscribe now. This is exactly the kind of content we make. Let's get into it. The wrong tool for a different job. The logic behind copying Olympic shooters is reasonable on the surface. Elite athletes have been trained by the world's best coaches. Their technique has been refined under the most competitive conditions in the sport. If it works at Olympic level, it must represent correct technique. Here is where clay shooting is different. Technique is not universal. Technique is optimized for specific constraints. And the constraints of an Olympic clay shooter are so radically different from those of a recreational over 50 shooter that their technique can be genuinely wrong for yours. Their technique is built around 3 assumptions most recreational over 50 shooters cannot match. Reaction speed. Olympic technique relies on extremely fast visual processing. Hold points in Olympic trap are set intentionally close to the trap house because the shooter trusts their reactions to catch the target early. Trust built through youth and a nervous system conditioned through years of full-time training. Physical flexibility. The mount positions, shoulder angles, and body rotations used by Olympic competitors are designed for bodies that rotate freely, absorb repeated recoil without fatigue, and hold precise positions under load. Not bodies managing shoulder wear, reduced trunk rotation, or changing joint mobility. Volume. Olympic shooters fire so many rounds that their technique becomes entirely automatic. When recreational shooters try to replicate the same movements without that embedded repetition, the cracks show immediately under pressure. 3 assumptions. Most recreational over 50 shooters match none of them, and yet they are trying to reproduce a technique built entirely around all 3. The mistakes this actually produces. Here is what happens when over 50 shooters import Olympic technique directly. The hold point. Olympic trap shooters hold very close to the trap house. This works when your visual system can pick up the target in the first meter of flight. For a shooter with slower visual confirmation, that hold point means you are already behind before you have read the line. You chase, you rush the shot, you stop the gun, you miss. The correct response is not to hold tighter. Move the hold point out to where you can pick up the target clearly, read its line, and execute with confidence rather than desperation. Less impressive looking, significantly more broken targets. Mount timing. Olympic shooters complete the mount while already in motion. The gun comes up and the shot fires almost simultaneously. Recreational shooters who try this without embedded repetition rush the mount, shoot before confirming the line, and miss targets they would have broken with a more deliberate sequence. Stance rigidity. Olympic competitors rehearse specific stance geometries thousands of times until they are fixed in the body. When over 50 shooters force these positions onto bodies that move differently, they introduce physical tension that kills the smooth swing. Tension is the enemy of a good shot. Olympic technique eliminates tension through volume. Copying the position without the volume just adds tension to the equation. What you should actually copy. Here is the counterintuitive part. There is significant Olympic knowledge that over 50 recreational shooters should absolutely borrow. The error is not in looking to Olympic shooters for inspiration. It is in looking at the wrong things. What you should not copy: the physical technique, hold points, mount timing, stance geometry, swing speed. What you absolutely should copy: the mental architecture. Olympic shooters are the world's best practitioners of pre-shot routine. Every elite competitor has a specific, repeatable sequence before calling for every target. The same breath, the same visual focus point, the same internal cue. This routine creates a consistent mental and physiological state before every shot, regardless of score, pressure, or distraction. This is directly transferable. It requires no reaction speed, no physical flexibility, no volume, and it produces measurable improvements in shot-to-shot consistency, which is precisely the lever over 50 shooters most need to pull. Olympic shooters also maintain complete process focus, total indifference to score during the round, one target at a time, fully present. This discipline is not a product of youth. It is available to any shooter willing to build it deliberately. Copy the process, leave the physics alone. The right technical foundation for over 50. If Olympic technique is the wrong template, what is the right one? 3 pillars. Deliberate visual pickup. Move your hold point out to where you can comfortably see and read the target before committing. Your visual confirmation is slightly slower than it was at 30. That is a constraint to design around, not a weakness to fight. A hold point that gives you a clear read produces more broken targets than one that looks impressive. Smooth mount over fast mount. Your mount does not need to be fast. It needs to be consistent. A mount that arrives in the same position every time, gun already on the line, is worth 20 fast mounts that are slightly off. Practice slowly and deliberately until consistency is completely reliable before increasing speed. Swing through over maintained lead. For most over 50 shooters, a swing through method, starting behind the target and moving through it, generates better natural lead timing than a maintained lead requiring precise spatial calculation. The movement creates the timing. Less thinking, more execution. These 3 pillars do not look like Olympic technique. They are not designed to. They are designed to produce consistent broken targets from a body and visual system that is different, and they do exactly that. Your action challenge. This week, pick one station you shoot regularly, one where you have been struggling. Watch one clip of an Olympic shooter on the same general presentation. Observe everything they do, then ask yourself honestly, which of these things can I replicate with my current reaction speed, my current physical range of motion, and my current volume of practice? Write down the answer, then ask, which parts of their mental process, their routine, their focus, their shot-to-shot reset can I implement immediately, regardless of age or training volume? Those are your 2 lists. One to leave alone, one to start building now. Shoot the station with your adjusted hold point and your deliberate mount. Track your breaks. Compare. Tell me in the comments, which piece of Olympic technique have you tried to copy and what actually happened? Your experience might be exactly what another shooter over 50 needs to read today. And if this helped you today, hit the like button and subscribe. It is the best way to make sure you never miss what we put out next. Keep building, keep shooting smart, and I will see you in the next one.